County is now the Hoops capital, too, thanks to the 2013 national champion CF Patriots basketball team. The McDonald Allstate Agency brings you the reigning kings of the court all season long right here on WOCA. Coach Tim Ryan and the Patriots look to defend their national crown and get set to host the state tournament this coming spring. The McDonald Allstate Agency brings you CF basketball only on WOCA, The Source.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA. Ocala.
All right, 8 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. I apologize to everybody who had to wait, including our next guest, especially our next guest. Just had a little bit of a long-winded conversation with Congressman Nugent there. Well, one of my most fun things to do in this job, Robin, is to talk to people who also do this job and people who are talented in other ways as far as showbiz is concerned. And I don't know, just something I like. I mean, I like talking politics and I like, debating things like that. But to tell you the truth, it's always fun to talk a little bit about show business. Ron Seggi is on the phone. He is a two-time Grammy nominee as a singer and a songwriter. He's the host of the Ron Seggi Show, which you and I, he probably doesn't remember us, but we had the honor of being down in his studios at Universal Studios years ago. It says here that he was Ed McMahon's announcer on the TV show The Next Big Star, and he's got something he's going to tell us about. It's called The Las Vegas Evening, the greatest hits of the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Ron Seggi in concert this coming Saturday at 7:30 at the Wayne Dench Performing Arts Center, and that's in Sanford. So I'm looking forward to hearing about that, and it'll be good to hear Ron right now. Good morning, Ron. How you doing?
Hi, Larry. How you doing? And yes, I do remember that great visit you made down here, and I appreciate it very, very much. And it's great to talk to another broadcaster, of course, as you mentioned.
And where are you right now?
What's that, Larry?
Where are you right now?
I'm in my new, after 23 years of being at Universal Studios, this past September, I built my own studio, music studio, and radio studio, and that's where I'm at as we speak, right here in Orlando.
Man, you still got that great radio voice, too.
Oh, thank you, Larry. That's very kind of you, as you do.
Oh, thanks. It's not usual. How come I don't hear Robin on there? Now maybe you'll hear Robin.
Okay.
There you go.
Here I am.
What's unusual is for somebody to have a great singing voice and a great speaking voice. Usually it's one or the other.
Well, this happened and you, I'm sure, recall the days when we would sit in the studio and play records for 6-7 hours at a time. And I was doing that as a young guy, a disc jockey. And I thought to myself, gee, I have the ability to go on stage and entertain because I emceed a lot of things over the years. So that's the reason why I got into singing, not thinking that I was going to really excel in the singing part of it. I thought I could be, a halfway decent entertainer because I could keep the audience going as a result of my, master of ceremony background. Right. But then I really got into it, and I love it. I mean, I got to be honest with you. I've been doing this for a long, long time, and I sometimes wonder what my first love is, broadcasting or singing.
So, with all of the music you've been exposed to over the years, so I have two questions about your influences. Who, which is kind of a boring, run-of-the-mill kind of a question, but how long ago? How long ago were your influences set in stone, or were they never?
Well, I got to be honest with you, okay? And I use this as an excuse to cover up any age. And that is, I have two older brothers that are 10 and 12 years older than I am, okay? So when rock and roll came into flourishing, I was just a youngster, 5, 6 years old. So I was influenced by that music of the mid to late 50s. But I also, became a disc jockey relatively early at 14. So there was a lot of influences from the late 50s, 60s, 70s. And, I love the stuff today. I mean, the stuff that Robin Thicke is doing and that Rihanna's doing and Shakira. I love all that stuff. So I've been blessed with the fact that I don't really... there are some music that I just can't relate to. But for the most part, I've been a big advocate of music from the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and I got to be honest with you, I listen to big bands sometimes.
I bet you do. So when you're putting together a show that's it's called the Las Vegas Evening, are we seeing more than a guy with a microphone, or do you have dancers up there with you? What do you have? What's on stage?
Larry, I'm glad you mentioned that, because one of the concerns we had when we billboarded it as a Las Vegas evening. Was there going to be a lot of dancing girls with those high hats and very scantily dressed? But what we were trying to convey was this, is that there's a lot of tribute bands out there. There's a lot of singers out there that just go out and sing. And as a result of that, we wanted to make it look like more of an act like you would see along the lines of Engelbert Humperdinck, a Neil Diamond, a Elvis Presley, a Gene Pitney, a Bobby Darin. And in order to convey that kind of style on stage, we say Las Vegas act. Are there dancing girls? I wish there was. I wish there were more. But I'm afraid that they would outshine whatever we're trying to do musically.
But you're backed by a 15-piece orchestra, though, and that's pretty impressive.
That's very impressive.
You know, when I first started doing this, and for a long time, guys, I stopped doing it. In the early 70s, I had a four-man rhythm section, a couple of backup singers, but then through the 70s, late 70s and 80s and into the 90s, I owned radio stations, and it was pretty hard to go out and perform. First of all, there was no time in the day to do that, but secondly, you know, you'd have all your disc jockey employees up in the audience saying, that's my boss, and he can't hit that note, you know, so I just figured I don't need that kind of grief, right? But when I went back into it, I said, you know, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it the way I would do it now. And I have to admit, it's not a very inexpensive way to do it, but I have a 15-piece band orchestra and 3 backup singers, and it's a lot more difficult to get booked into places when you are that big of an entity. But I got to tell you, at this stage, it's certainly nice going up there with all those horns and saxophones and trumpets and, you know, the rhythm section. I don't know if I'm doing more for me than for the audience sometimes.
Well, what I like about this particular interview is the fact that you're performing, the venue you're at is not that far. I mean, it's right down the road.
Oh, no, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, when you think about living in New York or Los Angeles, that would be considered in the neighborhood. You know, when you talk about from where you guys are in Ocala to over to Sanford.
Right.
And I got to tell you something. I'm not saying this because I'm on the air with you, Larry and Robin, but I have to tell you, I love that city of Ocala. I really do. I've had friends up there, friends in the radio business up there. I consider you two friends in the radio business up there. And it's a great city, and it's, you know, of course, horse country. And it's not that far from Sanford. It's a nice little ride, and we'd love to have your listeners come down because I got to tell you, we'll certainly keep them entertained. I wish the both of you could make it.
No. When you put on the show that you're doing, how do you prepare for it? And I don't mean like the weeks in advance. I mean the minutes in advance. Like the hour before. What are you doing?
Vodka.
I love one-word answers.
Yeah.
It says it all.
It's simple. It's a cure. No, you know, unfortunately, because I'm in charge of this whole thing, I got everybody in the backstage area. Where do we put this? What do we do? Where do we do that? I would really like to be totally by myself, just kind of looking over the lyrics and just kind of settling down. But it is a last-minute thing. There's always last-minute questions, production issues, as you know, being in the business. And as a result of that, I would like to say it was very calm sitting in the room and just kind of reviewing what I'm going to do. But it isn't that way. It's very hectic, and sometimes, to be very honest with you, very distracting.
When you do the songs from the different artists like Elvis and Sinatra, do you split them up so you're able to go back and do a change so you dress the part and appear to be them?
I don't really do. I make a lot of changes because as Ed McMahon used to say, I'm a clothes horse. When we used to travel the country together with the stage show, Tonight Show Memories, Ed would say that traveling with me was worse than traveling with Barbra Streisand because I had a change for every minute. But we do a lot of costume changes, but we don't go into the era of each performer. In other words, I don't come out with a white jumpsuit to be Elvis, and I don't come out with a jean outfit to be Jim Croce, and I don't come out with one of those flat top hats to be Mr. Sinatra. But we do a lot of costume changes, and we do a lot of stuff. I mean, we go from Elvis to Sinatra to Gene Pitney, which a lot of people, they know Gene Pitney's songs. Unfortunately, they don't know his name. Bobby Darin, Ray Charles, Johnny Cash, Lee Greenwood. I mean, it is eclectic collection, if you will, of songs that bring back a lot of memories for a lot of different genres.
So when you say Johnny Cash and Lee Greenwood in the same sentence, and knowing that you're going to be covering both of their songs, Lee Greenwood's got he can go up there, high pitch, right?
Yes.
Johnny Cash, he could go down there. so do you change the key, or is your range that expansive?
Well, in the Roy Orbison songs, of course, and Roy had a 5-octave range. Like in Crying, I do the falsetto at the end.
Oh,
so,
wow.
I'm able to do I'm lucky that I'm able to do the Johnny Cash songs, but I also, do the falsetto in Crying and Runaway by Del Shannon and those kind of songs. So, I of course, we have some backup singers that help in some areas, but not. It's a pretty wide range. It really is. Everybody always tries to put me in as being a bass singer, and I'm not. I'm really a tenor, but I can go on both sides of that.
Will you be doing opera?
I like some opera. I remember in high school I went to go see Aida and was just totally blown away.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think I could do that. There's a couple of great songs that Bocelli does that I would love to attempt. But, at some point you have to know your restrictions. No use going up there and doing something that you're not really cut out for. It'd be like a real good baseball player trying to drive a stock car.
Oh, okay.
Well, here's the funny thing. I always loved Sinatra's singing, and I know I'm not alone. But were we reading? Did we speak to No, who did we speak to from Sinatra's family? Somebody, didn't we?
Yeah, I can't
remember. Somebody wrote a book,
now.
And we spoke to somebody. And anyway, the comment was made. I can't remember if it was on her behalf or was it. Who was the daughter? Nancy.
Nancy
was,
yeah, she's a daughter and a wife by that same name, but Nancy was the daughter with these boots.
Okay. Well, she said her father always wanted to be able to sing like Pavarotti or something. Am I saying the right name?
Yes.
And I often thought, wow, why would you want to? I prefer to listen to Sinatra. No offense to you Pavarotti lovers, but
Yeah, right.
I heard that same story from Nancy. She said it to me, and even her brother, Frank Jr., made that comment that he always wanted to sing very operatic. And it's funny because Elvis Presley always wanted to sing, they always say he wanted to sing gospel, but he really liked, that was his motive. A song like It's Now or Never is really kind of an operatic song that came from an Italian opera. So
yeah.
I think a lot of people admire that. I certainly do. But, to be able to do it, like you say, if you're singing like Sinatra, why would you want to sing opera?
Yeah.
You do a lot of events for public awareness, like St. Jude's Children's Hospital, the United Way, American Cancer, and the March of Dimes, just to name a few. That must really be some kind of feeling for you to be able to take your show to do something like that with all the proceeds going to those organizations.
Well, one of the things that has been staying true to me is St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, because when I was a young disc jockey back in the late 60s, I was a teenage march chairman for a city in Pennsylvania where I worked, and, that was where you would be like the leader of young people in the market because you were playing rock and roll songs, and then you would annually do this teenage march for St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, and I had the opportunity to working with Danny Thomas and Marlowe and have written articles for their magazine called Promise, and I just felt such a respect for what he did. He made a promise to St. Jude, not to get philosophical, that if he made it in the entertainment business, he would build a temple to St. Jude, who was the saint of hard times, and he did that with St. Jude's, and it perpetuates today, and it's a great institution.
Oh, wow. We're speaking to Ron Seggi, and I'm sure many of you know him from his work in radio, his work in TV. He's been a broadcaster forever, a singer, and as a singer and a songwriter, he's had a couple of Grammy nominations. And I want to ask you about your songwriting in just a second, but I wanted to make sure the listeners know that you will be putting on a show called The Las Vegas Evening, the greatest hits of the 50s, 60s, and 70s in Sanford this coming Saturday. Is it a one-time only show?
Yes, 7:30 evening show, one show this weekend. Yes, that's correct.
And the address of the theater is 201-203 South Magnolia Avenue. And remember, we're saying Sanford, not Ocala.
Yes.
We have a Magnolia Avenue here, too. It's in Sanford. So you have to go down to the city with the zoo. That's what I always like to say.
That's right.
So tell me about your songwriting. Will we hear a lot of your own songs in your show?
It's funny. We've got to add some of my songs on the show. It's always difficult for a singer who's had a lot of hits to break material. When you talk to anybody that, like Engelbert Humperdinck has a brand new CD out right now. Whenever you have a new song, people want to hear the old songs because that's what they remember you by.
Right.
Always difficult for someone to be able to break new material. Later on today, I'm going to be talking to Charlie Daniels on my radio show, and I'm sure he's promoting a new CD, but everybody wants to hear the hits. Well, we kind of have that same problem. Even though they're not my hits, they're not certainly as recognizable as Mac the Knife. So as a result of that, we are going to intersperse some of my material into it. But if you put too much original material in a song that's packed into a show, rather, that's packed into 2 hours, you may, we want people tapping their feet and dancing and being entertained by recognizable songs that bring back memories for them. And so it's hard to do that, but we're going to start doing it very soon because I got a new song that I just did. It was produced in Australia, believe it or not. My first guitar player worked in Australia for many, many years, lives there. He used to be Barry Manilow's conductor. And he wrote kind of a country tune, and we did it much like Tony Bennett and Sinatra did those duet albums, where I did it here in Central Florida. They sent it to Australia. They put the backup singers in Australia, the music in some other place, and it's what you call a real world production. And that'll be coming out soon too.
Oh, that's exciting. So you've been doing it long enough that you've seen all the changes, not just in radio, but even in music, in the recording area. Do you like the new technology? I watched Jimmy Fallon and Billy Joel. They did The Lion Sleeps Tonight. Did you happen to see this? And Jimmy Fallon was using an iPad. That he looped his voice, and then he and Billy Joel looped the voice again, then looped the voice again. I think they looped it 6 times, and then they sang along with it. So technology clearly is playing a role in modern music. Do you use it? Do you like it?
I absolutely do. Jimmy's a dear friend of mine. In fact, when he started the Tonight Show 25 days ago, he did 2 radio interviews, and one was Ryan Seacrest and one was mine. I've known Jimmy for many years. And he's a terrific young guy. He really is. And, in fact, he's invited me to go up and sit in for Higgins when he goes on vacation. So we'll see if that holds true. But I saw that. When I saw that with that little iPad that he had with the doo-wop thing with him and Billy Joel, I thought that was absolutely sensational. That was really great television. What I didn't totally agree with was when Billy did his number, and Jimmy sang the whole thing. I mean, yeah. It looked like Mick Jagger up there. You were laying on the piano, you were laying on the floor, but the doo-wop thing was sensational.
Oh, that's funny.
Will you be playing any instruments on stage, or will you just be the crooner?
Well, I do tinker around with a guitar a little bit with the Johnny Cash thing.
Oh, nice.
Before I got into singing, when I was in high school and grade school and junior high school, I played trumpet for 12 years, and I had lips like Mick Jagger before they were in. But I will tell you one thing, okay? It is very difficult to play the trumpet and sing. It just isn't conducive for that kind of talent. But no, I play a little bit of guitar on stage. And in my studio here, I got drums and keyboard, but I certainly wouldn't do that in public.
Oh, really? Well, you're a joy to talk to, and it's been so many years since we were with you, and I'm surprised that you even remember us. It was just it was exciting for us because, well, we're always starstruck when we meet people like yourself, Ron. So everybody gets to see Ron. Will there be a question and answer? Will the people get to meet you after the show or anything like that?
Oh, yeah, we do a meet and greet all the time. When we played Branson, I found out that is a key. Yakov Smirnoff used to go out to the buses that came into his venue and thank people in the buses for doing it. That is just a really nice thing to do. And, when I first started singing, I didn't. I left and I was gone. But you know what? That's crazy. I mean, Ron has not left the building. I'm going to stay there and stay with the people because I think that, first of all, it's nice to hear the compliments or the criticism. The criticism, if you don't get the compliments, at least you get the criticism and know what you have to do right the next time and not repeat what you did this time.
Oh, man. Yeah. Well, and I'll just tell you a real quick story. I went to, when Silver Springs had the Beach Boys playing there, Robin and I took a friend of ours who happens to have Down syndrome, and he loves the Beach Boys. And because we do radio, I said, well, maybe, and we had the VIP seats and everything. Mm-hmm. So I said, well, maybe we can get backstage and you can get an autograph from Mike Love and Bruce Johnston.
Yes,
the other
those
guy.
are the two.
The two actual Beach Boys that were there. Everybody else was replaced.
Yeah.
So I mean, they were done 10 minutes and we were backstage and they were already gone.
Yeah.
And so it was so disappointing because our friend wanted, I wanted to meet them and get a signature, but they were already in the bus. Boom, gone.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so.
It's funny. The first time I saw them, I went backstage to talk to one of the MCs of the show, and those guys are hanging around, and hey, how you doing? How you doing? How you doing? And then years later, went to go see them. They were like what you said, they're gone. And I can understand sometimes because maybe they got a plane to catch or something. But for the most part, I think it's a nice gesture. People who spend hard-earned money to go see an act to at least have the courtesy of sticking around for a little bit and let the individuals who paid that hardcore money to say hi. And I'm just surprised that entertainers don't do that. That's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm glad to hear you're going to do that.
And that's one of the most inspirational things about you, sir. I mean, from your background, we understood that you created your own radio station at a young age in your parents' basement that could only be heard for a few blocks. And then you just kept going, moving forward. You didn't leave, and you never gave up. You always went forward, no matter if it was with the radio station or the music and now performing. You might have had setbacks, but you always kept on keeping on.
Well, I appreciate that, Robin, very much. I did have this little radio station in my basement when I was about 9 years old. But the irony was, and this is what was unbelievable, is that when I was in 10th grade in high school, there was a teacher there that also was in broadcasting, and I buddied up to him, and I told him what I had in my basement. So he came over one day with the program director of the radio station, and they sat in the kitchen with my parents, and I was in the basement, and they said, go do your radio show. And I went down there, and about 15 minutes later came down, and they hired me. And I didn't even have a driver's license. My mother had to take me to the radio station. So now you're on the radio, and you think you're a hot shot, and you're playing all these great rock and roll songs, and all these pretty girls are calling you up. Afterwards, and I said, I can't go anywhere. My mother's going to pick me up to take me home. I was like...
Oh, that's great. Ron, it's a delight to have you on our show. Thank you, and an honor, by the way. Thank you for being on our show. Again, just to recap, Ron Seggi will be performing. His show is called The Las Vegas Evening. It'll be this Saturday at 7:30 at the Wayne Dench Performing Arts Center in Sanford. The address is 201 South Magnolia Avenue in Sanford. And go have a good time. And anything we need to know other than that?
Other than the fact that I love you and Robin to be there.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll stick around for the stick around.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We'll stick around for the meet and greet. Ron, thank you so much for being on the air. Your website is your name, ronseggi.com, correct?
That's absolutely correct. And Larry and Robin, let me just say this. I know how valuable radio time is. I really appreciate the time that you allotted to me. It's a delight to be on the air with professionals like both of you, and I am very grateful for it. I don't take this lightly because I know what it takes to get on a radio show, and you've been very nice and very kind and very gracious, and I appreciate that very much.
Well, the honor is ours, sir. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Larry. Thanks, Robin.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
We'll be right back.
Habitat for Humanity of Marion County is a ministry dedicated to improving lives by providing affordable and decent housing. Help them help others by visiting the Habitat for Humanity Ocala Restore at 926 Northwest 27th Avenue. To schedule a donation, give us a call at 401-0075 and we'll come pick it up. For more information, visit ocalarestore.org. Habitat for Humanity of Marion County. Building homes, building hope, building community.
At Phoenix Infinitum LLC, we are a service-disabled, veteran-owned small business. We specialize in visual advertisements such as graphics, decals, banners, vehicle wraps, and promotional items. Phoenix Infinitum LLC is also your one-stop tactical outfitter with handmade gear made to exceed military specifications like backpacks, range gear, canine equipment, armor carriers, medical bags and supplies, patches, badges, and 100% of it is made right here in Ocala. Phoenix Infinitum LLC is located at 851 Northwest 24th Court in the Bryan Industrial Park. Visit us on the web at phxunlimited.us or call us today to see how we can help you. 352-351-3535. That's 352-351-3535.
Here are today's headlines from the source WOCA. The Marion County Sheriff's Office is reporting that a 15-year-old girl died yesterday from injuries she sustained on Saturday while racing at Bubba Raceway Park here in Ocala. The girl is identified as Neokoa Johnson. The report states that she was conducting a time trial in a race-ready Nissan Sentra at around 6:30 p.m. on Saturday. For unknown reasons, she lost control of the vehicle and crashed into a concrete barrier. The teenager was unconscious when racetrack workers and others pulled her from the vehicle. She was taken to Ocala Regional Medical Center where her condition was stabilized. She was then flown by helicopter to the University of Florida Health Shands Hospital in Gainesville. The sheriff's office says they will continue to investigate the accident as an accidental death investigation. The 87-year-old man beaten in the head with a metal pipe and sledgehammer by his son has died. Ocala Police Department says Ralph Krosky passed away yesterday after being in critical condition since the beating on Wednesday. Police say Krosky and his son, 55-year-old Alan Krosky, were arguing in the home's carport when the fight began. Alan Krosky admitted to beating his father. Ocala police say his charge has now been upgraded from attempted murder to murder. Within days of the Florida Supreme Court eradicating medical malpractice damage limits, a Central Florida Republican laid out his vision for turning the entire system on its ear. Trial costs would be eliminated, and so would accusations of negligence or medical malpractice. Cases would be resolved within 6 to 9 months. More patients would get their claims heard, and doctors wouldn't be driven to order unnecessary tests to protect themselves from liability. Representative Jason Brodeur, a Republican from Sanford, told the House Judiciary Committee that the proposal would save billions for Florida taxpayers and millions for businesses and create thousands of jobs. Brodeur's plan, partially modeled after workers' compensation, would put claims before a panel of doctors who would determine if avoidable medical harm had occurred, and compensation would follow a formulated schedule. Reduced litigation costs would lead to reduced insurance costs. Opponents say claims would snowball, though, taking insurance rates with them. Physicians would flee the Sunshine State, and the state's high court would deem the measure unconstitutional. The Florida legislature is moving forward on a plan to entice private insurance companies to sell flood policies in the state that's the most vulnerable to storm surge. It's not clear, though, that many private insurers will want to assume the risks of flooding and join two companies already writing certain flood policies in the state. Florida is home to 37% of the policies written under the National Flood Insurance Program, and state officials say congressional attempts to overhaul the troubled program have burdened many Floridians with skyrocketing premiums or homes they can't sell without its taxpayer-subsidized rates. A flood insurance bill sponsored by Senator Jeff Brands, a Republican from St. Petersburg, is on track for approval by the Senate. Similar legislation is moving through House committees. The legislation, which is Senate Bill 542, provides flexibility and protections for consumers and a free market for private companies that for decades could not compete with federally subsidized flood insurance rates, according to Brands. And SeaWorld kicked off its 50th anniversary celebration on Friday with an event at SeaWorld Orlando, formally launching an 18-month Sea of Surprises campaign that will feature extra entertainment throughout the company's marine parks. Orlando-based SeaWorld Entertainment Incorporated is banking on the marketing blitz to help it reach through to travelers. And those are the headlines from The Source, WOCA 96.3 FM and 1370 AM.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Life jackets save lives. We're at Florida. Cloudy today with periods of rain and a thunderstorm, the high 72 to 76. Some rain and a thunderstorm tonight, low 60 to 64. Tomorrow will start out cloudy and wet with a bit of leftover rain, then clouds will break for some sun in the afternoon, breezy and less humid, the high 72 to 76. For Wednesday, sunny to partly cloudy, high 62 to 66. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Hi, Robin. You look tired.
I am. I've been running all over town.
Why? Why not drive?
I need to get the stupid document notarized.
Well, that's easy. You need personal service.
Duh, that's what I've been looking for.
You need to go see Mark at the Personal Service Center. He can notarize that for you, make copies, fax it wherever, or send it out in the mail. Heck, he can even scan it and email it for you.
Really? Where is he at?
2375 Northeast 25th Avenue, on the corner of Northeast 25th Avenue and 24th Street. You can call him at 789-6683.
Personal Service Center. Thanks, Larry.
Are you wasting hundreds or thousands of dollars on termite retreat fees? If you're not with Turner Pest Control, you probably are. Turner Pest Control offers the industry's only termite and pest control package that never charges retreat fees, ever. You can get started today for only $99. This is a value of $500 or more. This includes treatments, installation of monitoring stations, quarterly pest control, and a lifetime guarantee, all for an unbelievable low $99. Even if you have another pest control provider, visit turnerpest.com to find out how you can avoid paying those high termite retreat fees.
Hey, it's Christy with Ocala Mac and PC Repair and Ocala Guest Wi-Fi to let you know we have you covered. We are the only local certified Apple and Microsoft computer company in Ocala. We are family owned and operated. From mobile repair to wireless networks, viruses, new systems, or security cameras, we do it all. Check us out online, ocalamacpc.com, or give us a call, 352-566-8324.
Tell them Nick, Madison, or Mason sent you and get free diagnostic.
Get your internet telephone service from the company that brought affordable internet service to Ocala in the first place. All is Safe is a sister company of Ocala Guest Wi-Fi, a company you've known and trusted for all your internet needs. Whether you need a phone or hundreds, we've got the products and services to meet your needs both now and in the future. Our plans include everything from local and long-distance calling to equipment maintenance and even software upgrades. You can count on All is Safe to give you cost certainty knowing that your bill will be the same next week, next month, or even next year. Call 352-450-8647 today to learn how to cut your monthly telephone bill up to 60%.
Today in Florida Ag News on Southeast AgNet, we have the Commissioner's Spotlight.
Joining us by phone is Florida's Commissioner of Agriculture, Adam Putnam. Commissioner, one of your proposals for this legislative session calls for cutting in half the sales tax that businesses pay for electricity over the next 3 years.
That's right, Frost. That cut would save Florida businesses as much as $225 million a year, money that they can then use to grow their businesses and be more competitive with other states in the Southeast. But that proposal also calls for shifting that remaining portion of the tax to support Florida's education infrastructure. The program that funds our education infrastructure is called PICO, and it's essentially a broken program. Meanwhile, our universities and our K-12 schools are in need of capital improvements. I can't remember the last time I passed a school that didn't have a playground covered up in portable classrooms. This proposal is designed to invest in Florida's next generation through that education infrastructure.
For Commissioner Spotlight, I'm Frost Burke.
Well, a new web-based tool designed to measure the so-called water footprint of a farm could help not just growers, but also world water managers. Water footprints account for the amount of water used to grow or create almost everything we eat, drink, wear, or otherwise use. The new water footprint tool developed at the University of Florida looks at a farm in a specific year or growing season and gives you its water footprint. Users provide their location by zip code, the crop, planting, and harvesting dates, yield, soil type, tillage, and water management. The tool then also retrieves historical weather data and uses it to estimate the water footprints of crop production. Again, the new tool looks promising as it worked well during its trial run to calculate water consumption at farms in Florida, Georgia, Alabama, and Texas. The calculator can be found at agroclimate.org/tools/water-footprint. Julie McPeak with Southeast AgNet.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA. Ocala.